All right, it is Tuesday night, and we are back with another episode of Go Horns and Fight Songs. I did have to change my hat because Wes decided to wear the same one. But we're inching closer to the season. College football starts this week, NFL starts next week, and that only means one thing. We're a lot closer to NCHC hockey.
Think it means a couple of things
Woohoo!
that the Vikings are still going to be bad, and we're closer to
Oh yeah,
NCHC hockey.
you have one good year, and now you're all cocky.
I mean, your quarterback is already broken and out for the season. I
Well,
don't.
he wasn't going to be our main quarterback to start the season.
Uh huh. You say that.
I mean, I mean, we have our number two receiver that got injured and then decided to fall asleep on I-5 or something right next to LAX. But that's, he went. I think he went from literally 140 to 0 in a year because he got pulled over doing 140 something last year before the season, and now he got stopped for doing 0.
I really hope you finish below the Bears this year.
We probably will.
I hope so.
All right,
All
but
right.
that's not what we're here to talk about.
Nah,
That is not what we're here to talk about.
a different podcast for a different time. Right on the
It's
quarter of never.
it's what, fat dudes in trenches or whatever.
Something like that. I don't know what they do.
I don't know. Fat dudes slapping each other.
Oh, hey,
That's
can we retouch something from last week before we get going on this week? What is y'all school doing with their logos?
just
I
I
mean, it's
I
not.
I
Luckily, it's not going to be like the full logo or the athletic logo, like some other team tried to do with a god awful logo. Um,
your team.
I mean, we don't have to name names or anything, but it is not great. I mean,
No.
they are
Uh
apparently trying to go down the same road that Omaha and Nebraska are doing. If you didn't see this, Brent,
I have
uh,
not. I have not seen this.
Minnesota Duluth. Did I send it to you on Facebook or did I send it to you on Twitter? I think I
you
sent it
sent
to you
it
on
to me
Twitter.
on Facebook.
They have decided that they no longer wish to have a separate identity from the University of Minnesota. And so, what they did,
Yeah.
for some reason, is they basically just took the Minnesota M and put the word Duluth under it. I'm trying to find something to
Interesting.
send it to you. It is so dumb. So dumb.
It's
I can only imagine what I'm seeing in my head compared to.
Here we go.
it's as if all the Wisconsin schools did the same thing just with the W for Wisconsin. Because yeah,
But
I understand you're
the other Wisconsin schools. I mean, did they really have any identity outside of they just existed in another city? It's not like they had their own teams that were readily recognizable, or I don't know, maybe potentially had won more championships than the quote unquote
This is worse than I
main
thought.
university.
yeah, it's terrible.
This is worse than I had in mind.
So bad.
It was we were saying as Wes and I were messaging, like it's so lazy. And he was right. It's lazier than Western doing what they did. Like this is literally just, and I get it. Your degree says University of Minnesota, whatever school you go to from that system. I
Right.
get that. But people take pride in where they go. And I I I don't even know what to compare it to at this point. Like it's so bad. And some geniuses that get paid a hell of a lot more than we do
Yeah.
are like, this is a great idea.
It might as well just
No.
say like college or state or
Yeah, the
university.
generic. That's exactly what I should say. like I don't Minnesota Moorhead. It's gonna be the M and just say Moorhead.
Probably.
I I
I mean,
I
you can just knock them out one after the other. I mean,
I don't know
it's a logo
who
that just
thought that was a
writes
good
itself.
idea, but I just want to punch them in the face and be like get a common sense glove and punch them in the face and be like, in what world does this make sense?
You
But
better.
thankfully, it because I started searching that I'm like, oh dear God, please do not change any logos and whatever. I don't think we're changing anything for the sports.
It does not look
That's
like
my
it.
hope, at least.
From what I saw, it's supposed to be the new academic logo. So the logo for the university itself.
It's still a
Still
bad
very,
idea, but
it's
I
still
mean,
very boring to put on T-shirts and stuff.
yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, it is very bad. I don't like it.
it was
And I know
bothering me all day.
and I know something about bad university logos. Circle
Do
W is
you?
so bad. Oh, I'm so
All right.
glad they sort of changed course on that one. I don't mind the new one. I don't mind the color change, but that Circle W thing was stupid.
You just
Worst
wanted to follow the
center ice logo ever.
you wanted to follow the best team name ever in the Washington Commanders.
Again, I wouldn't even have minded if they had just put the big W in the big circle as the center ice logo. But it was stupid that they made it like not even a quarter of the size of the face-off circle and then wrote the words Western Michigan next to it. Like, you don't? No. Nope. That's not how that needs to work. It looked stupid. It was awful. So bad.
All right, now that you've traumatized me again for the second time today,
You're just taking a
uh,
beating in this episode too.
well, it's not the first time.
Much like the Minnesota Twins did last night.
Yeah, I was trying to do a fantasy football draft, and I'm like, oh, I'll turn the Twins game on. Nope. All right. Well, and then they went to the rain delay. I'm like, that's fine. I'm worried about the storm anyway. They almost won. They only lost by 4 after being down by 8 after 2 innings.
This is true. It was not a blowout like the Cubs Pirates game.
Pirates, yeah, 18-8.
And the Cubs are up again 9-3 in the bottom of the ninth tonight.
Whoops.
Oof.
Okay, can we get back on to hockey now?
I suppose as soon as my screens come back.
Jesus Christ.
All right, we're good. Go ahead. Continue. As you were.
All right, so allegedly, we are talking about 4 teams tonight. And that would be the Nebraska Omaha Mavericks, the St. Cloud State Huskies,
Hang on a minute here.
University of North Dakota fighting Hawks, and the Western Michigan Broncos. So you have to pause because otherwise, there might be some alliteration that gets stuck in there.
Oh, hang on. I don't know if it's just audio working right now or if video dropped out to you.
Oh dear God. This is like me trying to do my auction draft last night when the internet cut out. It was not good.
We have
Everyone's
audio.
was cutting out.
We just don't have video. So I don't know if that's going to fix itself or if I do something could fix it. So let me try this button real quick. Hang on. Yeah, no, that did absolutely nothing. Okay, at least we still have audio. So screw it. We'll just keep going. If the video comes back, the video comes back. If it doesn't, well, you can just stay on these stupid pause faces that look incredible. My face looks so dumb.
Well, it's nothing new.
All right, as you were. Oh, we're back. We're good. It did work. It just didn't work on my thing. So
Okay, so which team do you want to start with that we're going through?
We're going to continue our alphabetical order, which means that Nebraska Omaha is up next.
Okay, Nebraska, Omaha. It four. I'm not doing well with the alphabet and numbers and everything here.
Well, it was 5-4 because Arizona had to make everything awkward for 2 years.
I know.
Learn how to count.
If you saw where I came from, you would know that is a very high ask.
I mean, Reagan's got to 2, just nailing it every time. She has nailed counting to 2. If we could get to 3, that'd be cool. But nope, we're at 2.
All right, so your Omaha Mavericks. You get a nice little start to the season with an exhibition against Wisconsin at home.
Yeah, it's big. Pretty happy it's at home. Obviously, Mankato last year was nice. We went up, made the quick trip. But being at home that first weekend, especially since tournament first weekend of the season, will be nice to get everyone in the building. Yeah, Wisconsin, Big Ten. I mean, it's going to be a good game, thankfully, no matter what. So I've kind of liked how now they can play Division One teams because it definitely gets the season started right. I think it got last season. It really kickstarted the team on the right note instead of 2 years ago when kind of was a slow start. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, especially when you got a lot of those Canadian teams coming down and playing. It just, for the most part, even for the guys that they were just giving a look, giving them time to get experience, they're still better than those Canadian teams, and it really wasn't that much of a competition for them, which kind of was unfortunate. And you would see it in a lot of teams and how they started their year, and then you guys go out to Vegas where maybe it'll finally dip to like 102 or something by October to take on UMass in the icebreaker.
Yeah, we'll be going out, thankfully, for a few days. I think Wednesday to Sunday. Pretty excited. I'm kind of going into it kind of like it's going to be an awesome experience to see them somewhere else, especially not at home or anything. It was one of me and my wife's first like tournaments going to, since Omaha doesn't really participate in many of them. So pretty excited for that. Excited to get back to Vegas. And good competition. I mean, a UMass team that's been really good the last few years, and then either Minnesota or Air Force Saturday should be a really good weekend to get the season started.
I think you'll probably face Minnesota if you win. Don't know a whole lot about UMass. They've been pretty competitive the last 6-7 years, but you never know. If you win, I'm pretty sure Minnesota's going to win that. So if you win, probably going to play Minnesota. If you lose, you're going to play Air Force. Have you ever been to T-Mobile? I don't know if I've asked you that before.
I went to a playoff game last year when I was in Vegas in May. So when they hosted Edmonton, I went to one of the games. So I've been there. This one's at the Orleans, just off strip. So should be pretty fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised they're not doing it at T-Mobile, but then again, they have so many things there.
Yeah, I know it's a very busy weekend in Las Vegas that weekend. So it's not going to be a cheap trip, but it'll be worth it.
If you gamble and win, then it's a cheap trip.
Yeah, if you can make the money up.
But otherwise it's really expensive.
Yeah.
Then you guys, once you finish that tournament, you come back home against Augustana, who I believe it's their second year Division One fully.
Yep.
and they're kind of interesting because looking at the transfer portal, they've lost some guys, but they've been getting a lot of guys in, especially NCHC guys that they're transferring in to that team. Whether they, I think they probably think they're going to get more playing time. Uh, just seeing this up and coming program, I don't know exactly where they play, but I'm guessing. I know this one's at home for you guys, but I think they probably play at the Sanford Center in Sioux Falls,
Yep.
which is a nice arena, which is also a draw for other guys to go there. Um,
Yeah, it's
been
really
there
nice.
for
We went
concerts.
when they did the home and home last season. We went up and we've been to Premier Center plenty of times with Summit League basketball and stuff like that. So really nice arena. It should be good for them long term. I know they're getting their own arena, I guess too, but it would still. I know for the Stampede, I think the Stampede play there. So
Yeah, they do.
yeah,
Uh, so that'll be good, and I think that's kind of a good test for both teams, where you can see where you are if you're kind of where you were last year, but then also Augustana, they can see, all right, can we compete with a better team in Division One instead of playing the lower tiers, especially as they're starting to enter a conference.
yeah. I know last season after I think they had their home game. Their coach in the press conference afterwards said that Omaha, up to that point of the season, was like where the team that they saw they wanted to be eventually, and the team that really was one of the best teams they had faced up until that point of the season. So it should be
Hmm.
fun. I think hopefully long term, Omaha and Augustana can kind of have a series, whether it's here or there, obviously, or a home and home would be great too. I love that being so close. Obviously, we don't have that opportunity with a ton of teams, as in probably 99% of the
Hmm.
NCAA. But yeah,
But I think it's a good chance for a budding rivalry
oh yeah,
where
for sure.
even though they're not going to be in the NCHC, it's always fun to have those non-conference rivals that you can play once a year.
Yeah. And speaking of the next weekend,
At this point, I think you guys are playing just as many CCHA games as Augustana is.
yeah,
But yeah, no, you get a full weekend of Minnesota State, and games will
yeah,
count.
should be good. I obviously I liked getting the Maverick Trophy back last season with the exhibition win, but it'll be nice getting some games that actually count, like you said, to actually kind of earn the trophy back. So we're hoping to make that trip too. It's only about 5.5 hours, so we'll see. That whole weekend, like from October 18th all the way to like the end of October, is very busy for us. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mankato's that's a fun place to go see a game too.
yeah, yeah, it was a really good atmosphere for it being an exhibition last season. So
And there's some cool things to do around that area too. Um, especially maybe go see. I don't know if it's still open. Go see the Bison at Minneopa, just a little bit outside of town.
mhm.
Let's see, then you guys start up conference play with Western at home, Arizona State, and then middle of December you get Lindenwood, and that
Kind of a trap for a non-conference, especially right before Christmas. Um,
yeah,
but at least it's at home. We don't have to go to St. Louis. It'd be nice for the players being able to come home after St. Cloud State, come home and kind of know that you're going to be home for a bit. Play a couple games against a decent team. I wouldn't say they're completely bad, but they certainly showed some promise last season despite their results. And then the exhibition at home as well, obviously against Manitoba. So it'll be nice for them to know that they've got basically 3 weeks at home in their own bed and probably get some family home before the new year.
It'll be
The thing
interesting.
with Lindenwood. Oh, go ahead, Wes.
I mean, they'll be interesting to see. Like they brought in 3 goaltenders out of the transfer portal because they lost their number one. Actually, they lost all 3 of their goalies, so they completely switched out their goalie room. But Burnham was a freaking incredible goalie for what he had in front of him last year. And really kept that team in a lot of games. But they get a couple guys that were at Western for a hot second, especially Owen. He was originally at Minnesota. Then earlier this year was committed to Western. Decided with Western switching it up and bringing in Hamilton, Stukinski, that he was gonna take his talents elsewhere. Ends up going to Lindenwood. Alex Azalandis, who played a couple games there in the pod when Bussy went down and played at AIC, I believe the last 2 seasons. And then they have another senior goaltender, Henry Graham from BU. So I mean, there's some talent in that goalie, but I mean, it depends on how the team plays in front of them. And I don't really know how those guys. I mean, I didn't see much of Alex Azalandis because when Bussy got back, that was his crease, and he took it right back, and no one touched that but him.
Yeah, and that was going to be my point was at least you guys don't have to face that magnet of a goalie that Western had to face last year. My God.
Yeah.
He was
He got peppered for 67 shots on goal and only gave up 3. Like that game was stupid.
I told Wes, I'm like, you have to get that guy some wings and a beer
I got to give
if he
him
comes to one of
nothing.
those.
He needs an accurate measurement because he is not 6 foot.
That was pretty much the response I got. He was like, "No." I'm like, "No, you have to respect what he's doing, even if it's against your team. It's amazing what he's doing. You guys should be up 8-1 or whatever it was at the time."
Yeah, we won 3-1.
Yeah.
Stepped 64 shots on net. You're just playing out of his mind, all 5'10" of him. He might be 6 foot in his skates, but he is not 6 foot.
And then your last non-conference, you get to go to Palm Springs to face Holy Cross, and then in the Cactus Cup, and then play either UMass Lowell or Michigan Tech. And I actually think that would be more of a fun game to go to just to see that arena. I happen to drive past it this summer, and one of my former coworkers, they always go to Palm Springs for the Indian Wells tournament, and I think he was out there for some other thing and went to I guess the Thunderbirds, Firebirds, whatever the AHL team is. Yeah. And he said that was a sweet arena. And it looked pretty cool. I just didn't know the name of it. So for my money, I'd probably go visit that instead of Vegas.
Yeah, we're
probably more because I'd lose a lot less money going to Vegas,
right.
going there than Vegas.
Yeah, that's another trip we're trying to make happen. California in January would be fantastic, but
very interesting.
Definitely just as expensive, if not a little more than Vegas. But
yeah, and I think you guys will beat Holy Cross. I'm curious to see who would win between Lowell and Michigan Tech.
I'm gonna give Lowell a little bit of a lean in that one, considering Michigan Tech will be playing in the GLI that the Sunday and Monday before that trip.
Oh,
Yikes.
well, yeah,
Like the
that'll
GLI
tire them out a
the
little bit.
GLI this year is the 29th and 30th of December, which is literally the Sunday and Monday before
Hmm.
that tournament.
Yeah,
So
I guess Omaha does have their exhibition on Sunday, but I mean,
yeah,
it's a
but I
little
mean,
less,
A lot of the
little less competition than a tournament the week of.
yeah, yeah, and I mean that GLI is going to
see what
be a good one. It's Western Michigan State, Michigan Tech, and Northern Michigan. I mean, Northern, who knows what they're going to be at that point? But I mean, Michigan Tech, they started out playing against Western, and Western has won the damn thing like the last 3 years they've been invited to it. So, I
Yeah,
Michigan Tech's going to have a hell of a chance, or a hell of a rough time trying to get through 2 tournaments in 6 days.
yeah,
Yeah, and Lowell, they have an exhibition on the 29th as well against Simon Fraser, which they're Canadian, but I believe they're the only Canadian team that actually competes in the NCAA.
yeah, something like that.
But still an exhibition, so their main guys are gonna be a lot more rested than everyone else.
And Holy Cross plays Long Island on that Tuesday, the 31st. What are these teams doing?
It's a busy week for all of them.
I mean, I guess it seems sort of fair at that point, but yes,
Thanks.
the decision making of these teams is incredible.
Questionable
Huh.
at best.
Interesting.
All right, so then I guess and then anything else on
To
the
the
Mavericks?
roster. To the roster. Uh, so I mean, we know like Cozy's coming back. Strong goaltender. Had a really good sophomore year. I mean, 2 really good years. Kind of built himself up. Um, was not immediately given the net as a freshman, but earned his time there. Took over a little bit more of it his freshman or his sophomore year and played extremely well. At this point, it has to be his net, right?
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be a little tough, um, especially long term, getting him out of there, unless, of course, anything huge comes up. But
Omaha does a pretty good job of not necessarily running their goaltender into the ground. Um,
yeah,
and spelling them when they need to be, but yeah, I mean,
yeah, him and Isley last year really. I mean, the coaches did really well with splitting them up, getting Seth in at like what seemed like the perfect time, um, when Simon maybe needed a break or Seth maybe beat him out in practice, and earned a night. But I think Simon just, as long as he just wants to play hockey and just wants to play good hockey and win. So it's gonna be tough to beat him out. So unless, like last year, unless we get a good tandem, 1-2, and he might need a break here and there, that'll probably be the only reason to take him out,
yeah, going with a
or at
little bit
least
of
not
the. Oh, go ahead.
give the start.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure. Going a little bit of the Red Wings philosophy: fight them and sign them. You got 2 transfers from Alaska. Two fun games to watch when they were down in Omaha, but things got a little wild, especially in that second one.
yeah, it was fun to watch.
Hey, I mean, at least it wasn't the end of the year fiasco that Arizona State had, and guys getting
Yeah,
suspended and uh,
yeah.
but anybody you're excited in the transfer portal coming over, the guys you're looking forward to. You didn't really lose a whole lot really in the transfer portal. I mean, it was 3 sophomores. The big one was
Yeah,
probably Joe LeMay, who just wanted to play closer to home and ended up signing with Northeastern. But
yeah, that was a um, good transfer for him. It really sucks. Obviously, he was a huge part of our success last season, but you know, uh, if you want, from what I heard too, it was just tough for his family to get to Omaha. Just it's tough anyway to get to Omaha, but being able to be a little bit closer to any coast definitely is a little easier. So I wish him the best. Obviously, thankful we don't have to really play him or have to worry about playing him at least during the regular season. Transfer portal. I mean, yeah, you Risk and Israel's are the big ones that I'm pretty excited about, just to see what they can do. Bring in a lot of cohesion, you know. Um, and then Dylan Gratton, pretty excited about him coming over from the Big Ten. I believe he was Penn State. Um, Obviously, NCHC and Big Ten have kind of been going back and forth with some powerhouses the last couple of seasons. So hopefully he can bring some fight, a little bit more fight, and maybe some leadership over too. Otherwise, obviously I'm excited for everyone. Don't really know much about the others. Sam Stange from Wisconsin. Who else?
It looks like Aiden Gallagher from Northern Michigan, which that
Yeah,
one's interesting. And then you have Garrett Pinoniemi from Minnesota
yes, that's right.
transferred in.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be
Oh,
interesting. The players we've gotten from the Big Ten I mean, ever since the transfer portal have always, I mean, they haven't missed. They've been really strong. McManus a few years ago.
yeah.
I mean, the coaching staff knows what they're doing, going out and getting these guys from the portal. So I've got all the faith in the world in them until they prove you wrong. But yeah, otherwise, new guys. Any new guys that I've heard a lot about? Not really. I'm pretty excited to see. Obviously, we've got not a bunch, a decent amount of freshmen in this year. Um, and if there's one player that returned, let's see, probably Krenzen on the back end, Nolan Krenzen. Um, he brings a lot of seniority, a lot of leadership to that D core. So it'll be good to have someone with that much experience on the D in front of Simon.
yeah, 4 out of your 6 guys
Pretty
had
excited. There's a lot to be excited about this year. I think I'm really looking forward to it.
4 out of 6 had ties to Big Ten teams out of the transfer portal because even Aiden from Northern Michigan also played at Michigan State, so another guy who had Big Ten experience. Uh, Zach Erdahl, who played really well for you guys at the end of last season, that's another guy you brought it over from the Big Ten. He played at Wisconsin. Um, we'll see what he can do having a full year of NCHC play under him. But yeah, he came on at the right time. It was a big part of you guys getting to the Frozen Four or the Frozen Face Off
Yeah,
and making that deep run you made there. And then
it was really unfortunate he got hurt towards the end of the first half. Missed, I want to say, like 3 or 4 weekends, so about a month, and then came back after the break. And I mean, he was just on fire. You couldn't stop him. So yeah, he was a big part of our success in the second half.
yeah, I think we're good to move on to who will return. Maybe wait, no, who they will switch to. No longer your travel buddy. Your new travel buddy is Arizona State after St. Thomas joins the conference. Right? Is that what it is?
Yep.
Yeah, because St. Thomas and St. Cloud
St. Cloud.
become travel buddies, and then North Dakota and Minnesota Duluth come travel pals, and dude, those two teams.
There's
That is like
no love lost is an understatement.
that is Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre, just banger after banger after banger. Every time those two teams meet. Yep, that's a
There,
WWE reference. Suck it. Oh, there's another one.
yeah, I was just gonna say there you have another one.
Snuck that one in there.
God dang it, because I know a lot of North Dakota fans that I grew up with, even though it's a lot further away than the hour it is to Duluth. All right, so yes,
They once again get to play in the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame game. I think last year it wasn't the start of the year. I think it was like a couple weeks in, and that was when they played Arizona State in Vegas for it. I think.
yeah,
Yep.
that is
And
after they start.
And yeah, and took that L. Took that.
It
L.
is after they get an exhibition against Augustana, though.
Oh, yep, they sure do. I scrolled right past that because
Yep, because it's an exhibition.
yeah. But they'll play Providence. This one it's in Grand Forks, so they will host the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame game. I would I would like to see that mix up more and or be played near the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame, kind of like the first preseason game is the NFL Hall of Fame game, and it's literally played on the grounds of like what is it, Canton High School, because it's right next to the NFL Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio.
Yeah, the problem is, um, they have done it for women's hockey. I guess you could probably do it in Hibbing. Evelys Arena is not made for that. Virginia, they got a new arena. I think they're probably going to try and get it. It's still not made for that. Hibbing has what I think is a big enough arena, but if you really want a nice arena to play in, Duluth is Amsoil is going to be the place to do it. And I can say that because, well, I grew up in the town that the Hall of Fame is in. So I could see it from I walk half a block and I can see it. So I would love for it to be up there and to get all these teams there. Realistically, there's not a whole lot to do there in general unless you do it in Duluth. I do agree that it should be there or within the area. There's just Bemidji is probably the other closest college level arena to play in. And that's kind of sad when they have the women's games that they were playing in. I think it's the oldest arena in Minnesota. They were playing there, and that place is not great.
I mean, even if
I love it, but as far as for everyone else, not great.
but I think that's part of the vibes per se. Like Canton Field is not a big field. I mean, it's a high school football field. We're granted it's the first preseason game of the NFL calendar, so we're not saying that it's the end all be all game. They're not playing the Super Bowl out there by any means.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even make it an exhibition game so it doesn't count against anybody's record. But if we're mixing the teams up, like it may not sell out like a Grand Forks will, or bring in the draw that a North Dakota team brings in by any means. Like I'm not saying anything like that. Like North Dakota brings in the people, we know that. But the feel and the atmosphere of the whole thing is something that a smaller arena can provide sometimes. I mean, hell, you and I had a great time in the Blues practice facility where there was bleachers on one side of the ice. Like it made that game kind of more fun.
Yeah. One of us maybe a little more better of a time, but
and that's kind of debatable depending on who you are.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean I do like that charm of the smaller thing, and yeah, making it an exhibition because that's what the preseason is. I have other personal gripes because I know where they'd want to have that played. It's a whole other thing, but I do think it should be played at the Hippodrome in Eveleth if you are going for that intimate feel because it is the oldest hockey arena in Minnesota. It is where the US Hockey Hall of Fame is. Why not bring that game there instead of trying to sell out the Ralph and completely screwing the other team that's coming in Providence?
Yeah. Or I mean, even like last year, like, granted Vegas is a little bit closer to Arizona State, but it was one game between Arizona State and North Dakota. Like, granted, North Dakota travels well, and they were there, and Arizona State had their fans there, but like that's a hard sell to be like, yeah, go to Vegas for one game,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
in the middle of October when your kids are just getting back to being in school, or like they're getting ready to take their first set of tests or whatever it might be. Like,
First, I will say it's an easier sell than go to Eveleth, Minnesota in October. Um, oh, what's there to do there? You can look at the empty mine pits.
you can go to the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame.
That'll take you about an hour.
Hey, that is an hour well spent, I'm sure. Uh, then they play Minnesota State. They get BU at home. No, yes. McKinney
Yep,
on the
you
road,
at
BU at
home.
home. I don't know how to read. Shut up. Cornell in New York. They open NCHC play with Duluth. Robert Morris, Bemidji State. Not a lot
And
of.
apparently Robert Morris is sponsored by McDonald's. That game, that series is sponsored by McDonald's. I'm actually kind of curious about that. If I get free McDonald's, then it might be worth
They're
going
in
up
Grand
there.
Forks.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That series is sponsored by McDonald's, and if I get free McDonald's, I might go up there.
I'm not.
I won't, but because I'm spending way more money when I have a McDonald's about 3 minutes away.
They will also play Manitoba in an exhibition game. So similar or like opponent with Omaha there in the exhibition circuit. Honestly,
And
I'm
then
not.
they're done.
Yeah, that's the end of their non-conference. They get Colorado College at home again. That might be one to watch considering how those two games went last year. They go to Arizona in January. That'll be nice for the traveling folk from North Dakota to get a break from the darkness and the 12 feet of snow they get to go down to Arizona in January. Honestly, I don't know. Their non-conference schedule does not stand out to me much. Maybe
Providence.
Providence is decent, but again, that's a one-off game. Like, how much is that really going to show you on a Saturday?
Maybe Cornell, but that's early in the season.
BU and Cornell. I mean, that's kind of they had to fly out for the Cornell games. And a Robert Morris team that I think is still kind of really back to being a newish team. They had to go from ground zero. They lost their team for a season or two and had to build it back after losing everyone, I think. Like, players were literally told you got to find a new school if you want to keep playing hockey because we don't have a program. In fact, Western ended up getting one of those guys in Brian Kramer. He was originally at Robert Morris when they lost their program, went to AIC, and now transferring into Western this year. But yeah, it's still not like, I don't know. I guess I just expect more out of North Dakota, really. And maybe it's just a lack of knowing the East Coast teams. And because BU has been good for a few, the last few years. Cornell is a name that exists within the history of college hockey and they've kind of been up and down.
They've kind of been in the middle fringe recently.
But again, I guess I don't know who I'm really looking for North Dakota to stack up with either. Like, their toughest games are going to be the games they play in conference because it's the Denvers, the Duluth, the everyone in the
The
NCHC,
Omahas.
the Omahas, yeah, everyone in the NCHC, they play their toughest games in conference.
Yeah, it's tough to go out and really find those big names because most of them are on the East Coast.
Yeah, and they want to play. They have to schedule their stuff too, and they're not looking to set up a West Coast run every other weekend when they've got 18 teams within a bus trip that they can go play. They end up getting the goalie from Arizona State, I believe.
I believe that they did.
Once again, relying on a transfer goaltender, perhaps to lead the team. Last year it was Person. The year before that, it was I believe a Michigan State goalie was kind of their starting goalie, or was he from? Bemidji State was like 3 years ago. I think it was Bemidji.
They had North Dakota last year. They had the kid from Miami.
Yeah, they had Person last year. The year before that,
Person.
they had, I think, a grad student or a transfer from Michigan State. And the year before that, they had the transfer from Bemidji State.
Shield?
Yeah, I think so. But they hadn't had a goalie play back-to-back seasons as their starting goaltender in like 3 or 4 years. Just double check.
Yeah, their goalie. They haven't had one since the heck was his name?
The Ritter was the one from Michigan State that was 22, 20.
Yeah,
so he was the dude before Person.
Yep. And then Shield was
before him.
Before DeRitter. Yeah. There was another guy right before. Why is your website terrible? Oh wait, because you're in North Dakota.
Zach Driscoll was the one from Bemidji State.
Oh, Driscoll. So it was Shield. It was Driscoll, and Shield was before him.
Sure.
I think.
Something like that.
At some point, I would assume, seeing as we haven't run into his name yet, that he had to have been before Driscoll.
No, that's. Well, I could be completely wrong.
I mean,
there is that option.
Well, he wasn't after him.
That is true.
I went through all those goaltenders. So the way, Andrew Shield was 2020, 2021.
Adam Shield. Yeah.
Adam Shield. Yeah. I don't know what I said. I was reading
Andrew.
things. Oh.
You were close.
Started with an A.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
He signed with the Dallas Stars after his junior season. Yeah. Thus starting the long road of goaltenders to go through North Dakota, like quarterbacks through Cleveland.
Bitch.
But only slightly more successful.
And less allegations against them.
That's true too. I was really kind of going before the current quarterback, that long list of like 20 guys that if you start stacking on a jersey, it's a little ridiculous. Where were we doing? Oh yeah, we were looking at
there. Driscoll. Oh, never mind. Hang on. Never mind. Carry on. My computer messed up on me. Let's continue.
They do have Caleb Johnson back as a junior. He was another goaltender. He was not great.
I don't even know his name.
How many games did he play last year? I know he played a couple because they kind of got in like. I think Person got hurt for a hot minute, and then
he was.
They they went through like 3 or 4 goaltenders, not quite as many as Denver did. Remember, Denver had that like stretch where they were playing a different goaltender every weekend and had to bring up a kid, or like after their trimester, their first like trimester ended so that they could have a goalie one night, and he ended up beating Western, which was just fantastic. Yeah, I mean Johnson's played a total of 3 games. And
They have a sophomore, Hobie Hedquist.
Hobie.
I think he played a couple games last year too.
Yeah, he did.
Is he the local kid?
Yeah, I don't know where Heron Lake is. It's got to be up there.
No, I think there was maybe he transferred
No,
down. Because there was another one that was like literally from like Grand Forks or somewhere. Like he was literally like a hometown kid that played for them for a hot second.
yeah, I think he transferred out. Where in the?
I don't know when or where, because they only had a forward and a defenseman in the transfer portal this year, both freshmen.
Where did you go to high school?
But yeah, no, they bring in another veteran goaltender. It'll be interesting to see how. I mean, it's hard to say it hasn't or it has worked out for them. I mean, they've had mixed results. Last year, they were pretty solid. They finished second in the conference with Person, even though he had some injury issues. The year before that, they tied Denver with the Penrose. The year before that was really their worst year when they finished like 7th or something in the conference, 6th or 7th. With DeRitter was really kind of the only bad year, I think.
I thought it was last year, or not. Well, 2 years ago. If you're counting this, I thought 2 years ago was where they were terrible because last year they were coming in with a brand new defensive.
Yeah, it was
core.
2 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Because they finished 6th and went to Omaha in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what I said. Oh, wait, maybe not. No, wait, yeah, no. I got it right. No, I didn't. I confused the year before. This last year, they won the Penrose. Outright.
Yeah, because you had said they had split and then they finished, but they split 3 years
Denver
ago.
got it
2
years
years ago. They
ago.
were terrible.
Denver won it by themselves, and the year before that was when they were really bad.
Yeah.
When they split it with them. So they split it, dog shit, took it. That's what it was. But I flip-flopped it too.
Yeah.
Give it the old switcheroo. But I figured it out. That's fine. Louis Jamernick is their captain this year, 5th-year guy. Solid player. Hopefully he doesn't take himself out in the last seconds of a game like their previous captain did and down in St. Louis there. Just silliness.
That was silly.
Yeah. The game was already over and just like ran himself into the boards and took himself out.
Well, maybe he wanted to end it. Who knows?
Max Swanson, I think, is kind of the big name of the freshman class going up there.
Yep.
Cameron Berg back from another year, a guy that you're familiar with there, Brent. We just take players from North Dakota. We don't give them any back. Yeah, I think those are the kind of the bright spots. Jake Smoltz is back.
Yeah, another one in the long line. I'm just looking here.
It's another season of they've got what they need. Now they need to just go out there and prove it.
Yeah. I mean, Jake Livanovich, he's coming in for kind of a highly touted sophomore year. He had a great freshman year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's North Dakota. They're a team that like you kind of expect them to be good, and they don't always necessarily live up to expectation. But even when they don't, they're still generally a solid team that if you're a fan of, it's easy to root for.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, there's just not a lot to their offensives or their non-conference schedule that stands out that I can put my finger on. They should do well in their non-conference. It'll be interesting to see exactly how well they do again with another older goaltender and not really building their goaltender depth from within too much. We had a kid who had what, like 2 games total in his career, and then I didn't see what the other goalie was. I know he played last year. I'm pretty sure he played last year too, but did he go? Oh, there he goes. What did you do last year? Not this year. Cut you. Stop it. No, what? What are you? I mean, he played 7 games. Right. So, I mean, amongst their backup, they have 10 games of experience between the two of them. But did have Hobie did have a record of 5-1.
There you go.
9.0 save percentage.
I still can't figure out where he went to high school, though.
Well,
because I looked, and unless he went to Worthington, I don't even know if they have a hockey team, and if they do, they are terrible. So, because I looked up where Heron Lake is, and it's a small little podunk town.
Spent 2 seasons in the BC,
and I can say that because I'm from one as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, good for him.
North Dakota
right,
doing North
let's
Dakota
move on because I'm getting hungry here.
They were kind of. You need to learn to be an adult and eat at a respectable time. I don't know what your problem is.
It takes me a bit to get home. Okay.
It takes me a bit to get home too, but I know how to cook dinner for myself at least. Next is Minnesota State. They replace.
That is incorrect.
Nope. Next is St. Cloud. Because Minnesota State's not even in this conference. God damn it.
What a flub.
Yeah. See, you make fun of me and you immediately just.
It's not because I didn't eat. It's because
I'm wrong conference.
Tired. And we said Minnesota State like 4 times today. How often do you say St. Cloud? Other than when you're talking about St. Cloud, like fucking never. All right. And I was also looking at Minnesota and St. Thomas at the exact same time, so Minnesota State somehow snuck in there. Anyway.
How many times do you say Minnesota State?
More than I say St. Cloud. Anyway.
That makes sense.
Open the season with an exhibition game against Minnesota. And they have 1 game on a Sunday after their exhibition game with St. Thomas for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing there.
A home and home with.
I think that's the one that's at the X.
Yeah, that's where they've played St. Thomas when St. Thomas has been the home team, which I'm actually excited for. I think by the time they join, St. Thomas should have a brand new barn. The renderings look really nice, so that'll be exciting. But yeah, then home and home with Bemidji and the Beavers.
They come to Ann Arbor, Michigan, just down the road to square up with Michigan. Then they host Augustana.
Who does not play Augustana in the NCHC? Honestly,
Western.
It's.
Let me make sure about that before I just start saying shit.
I'm pretty sure they don't, but I would
We'll
laugh
find out.
so hard.
We'll find out here soon.
Yeah, I know. We'll just save it. We'll just save it as a little mystery because they're the next team up anyway. Screw it. Then BC. They start play with Miami and Colorado College in Omaha. They have a nice run of NCHC teams just going straight through November 8th through December. So that real good conference play part of the schedule, they're just knocking it all out in one run. Then they have another one-off Sunday game with St. Thomas, this time at home at Herb Brooks National Ice Center, which has the worst seats in college hockey.
It's not good.
So bad.
I just go there because it's a little bit closer than going up to Duluth.
They do not. Do they not?
They don't have a lot of non-conference.
They have nothing in the second half of the year.
No.
After St. Thomas is their last one on December 29th.
I'm really kind of fascinated with the teams that play St. Thomas. Those are the ones that I'm going to be out of the teams that I know in the non-conference. That's the one that's going to be the most fascinating because St. Thomas was basically winning the CCHA last year. They were the number one team.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at when they, just a couple of years ago, when they started their Division I full-time run, they got absolutely spanked by St. Cloud. It was 14-2 or 1, or it was kind of a welcome to Division I boys type of deal. And now I think they're in their fourth year, maybe fourth or fifth year being a full-time Division I program. They have turned that around very, very quickly, which is surprising. I kind of don't like it, but I also do. I don't like it because it's another team to provide competition within Minnesota for recruits. But I like it, especially with them joining our conference in the next couple of years to provide that extra competition and to make the conference even better. I'd rather have them join than some, like a Long Island University or Stony Brook, I think it is the other team that's out east. Some other team like that. Better to have better competition because then that drives all the other programs to be better.
I thought they were playing more NCHC teams this year, but they're only playing
Miami.
They're only playing St. Cloud.
Hey, they were good when they came in.
And you know the common denominator between the two there, right? Current St. Thomas head coach Rico Bossi was former
Rico Bossi.
Miami head coach when they joined the conference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's done a phenomenal job there. So, but those are the ones that I'm looking most forward to because I do want to see what St. Thomas does. And the thing is, they do have the backers. That is a very, very, very wealthy school.
I'm hoping Omaha can get St. Thomas scheduled next season before they come in. Fun. That would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot more pressure on St. Thomas for these games against St. Cloud, or even if they play anybody in the NCHC next year too, just to like prove that they're making the right step in joining the NCHC. Like, I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on themselves to perform in those games and be like, "Yep, we're coming, or we're knocking on the door now, but in 2 years we're going to kick it off its hinges, and you're going to have to know that we're here." And hopefully that goes well for them too. Like, because it also puts pressure on a team like St. Cloud to be like, yeah, they're conference competition, but we're going to let them know that we've been here longer. We know how to play the game, and we're going to play NCHC hockey. And if you're not prepared for it, like, you better figure it out in the next 2 years, because this will be every other weekend.
I would argue that St. Thomas has already kind of proven that. They beat St. Cloud last year in the first game of the year 5-4 in overtime, and they lost 1-0 when St. Cloud was at 8. They lost 6-5 to the University of Minnesota in their first game, and then 3-0. They're
Yeah, but those games weren't the same amount of pressure. It's a difference knowing you're playing non-conference games and you're hoping. I mean, they couldn't even play in the national tournament, so it's not even like they had national tournament aspirations during those games. Like there was no pressure on those games whatsoever. For if you're St. Cloud, like yeah, you want to go out and you want to play good hockey to keep your team going, because but those games don't help you in your conference game in your conference tournament. Like they don't help get you there in the conference standings. Like they might provide confidence or help the team play better in conference, right? But they're not counting towards the conference standings. You can't play in the NCAA tournament at the end of the year. Those are just go out there and show everybody that yeah, you're a good team, but we have nothing to gain or lose from these games. Whereas now, you're playing potentially some of those younger guys are gonna be on the team in 2 years when they're conference opponents. Like you're putting yourself on the map now with your young guys and saying, "Yep, our young guys are going to come in and compete against your young guys in 2 years, and we're going to be on the same field, and we're just letting you know that we're coming," type of thing.
but again, I would argue it, there's still less pressure. Maybe on the younger guys there is more, but again, it's not going to count for conference. It's not going to count for their standings, and I don't even think they're still eligible for the NCAA tournament. And so, what are the older guys going to carry? You're saying there's more pressure on them this year. Well, yeah, maybe the younger guys, but the older guys, they're probably going to be out of here. So why is there more pressure on that team now, especially with the transfer portal, even though that should slow down? Some guys are going to be out. The team is going to look completely different by the time they join the conference. So, if anything, the pressure is on Rico to have a good showing, but I don't see any difference between what they did last year and what they have to do this year. I don't see any pressure. I don't see them having to feel like they need to prove something when they technically did last year.
Even if
They
it's
know they're a good team.
even if it's on the coaching staff, okay, now the coaching staff has to show they can do it year after year. Yeah, they played them tough last year. Can they do it again this year? Is it something they can do consistently? And knowing that again, there's a part of it about knowing they're going to be future competition and existing in the same sphere that you were not in the year before. Like I would
Let's see.
say that
What did they do in 2022, 2023?
the Arizona games that Omaha has played in the past did not mean quite as much as they did last year. Like last year, everyone's like, okay, we're looking at the new guys coming in. What can they do? How are they going to start appearing to match up with the teams they're going to play year in and year out? And Brett could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those thoughts were going through at least some of the fans' minds.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially the tournament championship last year against Arizona State at Arizona State. Like, obviously, you're going for a tournament win, you're going for regular season win, but like also, this is the future. Like, this is going to be a regular thing going forward. Whereas, the first few years Arizona State's in NCAAs, you're like, this is just first year, second year. It's like, it's just a new team. Like, whatever. Like, we're gonna play them, but it's kind of just another non-conference series. And now, last couple seasons, it's been, especially with all the rumors, it's like it's like this. We could see this team a lot, whether it's non-conference or in conference. So it's definitely been a little more. You definitely got up for the team or for the series a little more the last few seasons.
I think the difference though is Arizona State, they were playing an independent schedule, right? St. Thomas has not been playing an independent schedule now since they've joined the CCHA. So, yeah, it may not be as tough as the NCHC, but they're playing a conference schedule. And seeing these independent teams like in Arizona State, it's like, okay, yeah, they're a new team, they're an independent. There's a reason there's not in a conference as far as the fans' mindset goes. But I still think you're putting too much stock in what the players are thinking. The fans might be thinking it, but the players don't care, and it is going to be different in the pressure that they're putting on, especially now next year. It'll probably be different because it's the year before they join the conference. But this year,
It's gonna
I
just
don't think it's as much.
it's gonna ramp up because everyone's gonna start to like they're gonna hold every game that St. Thomas plays against an NCH opponent and go, all right, did we make the right decision jumping in this early? And they have gotten better every year for sure. I mean, they were 3-32 in 21-22. They were 11-23 in 22-23. And they
They're
were
15 and 20 or
15,
something,
yeah,
and 20
15,
and
20, and
something.
2 last year with a 12-11 conference record. And that was because they ended up having a lot of injuries last year. So, I mean, coming off of that season, there's even a lot of people, and it doesn't have to be on the team, like the players themselves. There's just a lot of pressure on that university to go, are we making the right choice? If I'm a donor, did I put my money in the right places? Because we're trying to get into the best conference in college hockey. We're getting a look at what that could look like, even if it's a 1-game series this year. And maybe they play a couple more last year, like Arizona State did a couple. They played like 3 teams last year, I think, from the NCHC before jumping over. But everyone's trying to second guess decision making before we even really get to it. But
I don't think I don't think the donors are second guessing it. I think they're more. I'll put it this way: if you want to talk about the donors, they're more in revenge mode because they got kicked out of the conference for being too good, and it those people are very cutthroat businessmen and lawyers and very very well off. The donors,
I mean, they got kicked out
they
of
they want to prove
Division Two or the lower
Division
division.
three,
Yeah, but
Division three.
they didn't get kicked out of the CCHA. They chose to leave the
No,
CCHA.
no, and but that's my point is they're not regretting trying to get into the NCHC and joining the NCHC because they want to prove that, like, oh yeah, we are that much better than you and we can compete in this. So they're not going to have regrets. They don't they want to prove they're more motivated than second guessing their judgment about jumping into the NCHC after being in the CCHA for a couple of years.
Okay, but even wanting to be proven right still creates more pressure on the program that you're donating money to. Like to say that there's not pressure, it's ramping up. It's not going to be the same. Next year is going to be a little bit more. That first year in the NCHC, it's going to be even more until they can establish themselves and try not to look like what we've seen from Miami the last few years. And even the
And I'm not
NCHC,
saying there's not pressure.
even the NCHC has to say, are we making the right choice here by inviting them in? Are we going to have another situation like a Miami? I mean, we're trying to introduce 2 teams 2 years apart to grow the conference, and there's already backside dealing or conversations that the conference is going to fall apart and Summit League's going to try and steal half the teams of the conference to
Well,
create
and
a multi-sport conference out of that, because half the teams that play in the NCHC play Summit League basketball or football or some other sport.
I'm not saying there's not pressure on them. There's pressure on every school every year to compete. There is. It's just there is a little bit more for an Arizona State or a St. Thomas to come in and to prove themselves. And I think, it is a gamble getting all these schools in. It just is. The whole conference was a gamble. You don't know if you're going to be right or if you're going to be wrong. There's pressure on everybody in every aspect of this. The NCHC, yeah, we kind of figured it was going to work, but who knows? Like it could have fallen apart. Look at the WCHA for what it was. That thing fell apart real quick.
Well, it fell
Thanks, Big
apart.
Ten.
It fell apart because every good team went to the NCHC. I think there was a lot
Yeah.
fewer people looking at the NCHC going, this is a bad idea, and a lot more people going, we really want to call this the WCHA.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think those were kind of more the thought process there. It was less, you know. But all right, back to Saint Cloud, who is actually in the goddamn conference now that we went on like a 20-minute tangent about a team who we don't even have to give a shit about for 2 more years.
Oh, you don't mean Minnesota State?
Shut up. Why are you in old man mode? Can you fucking not be, please? Thank you. That's why I can't see any goddamn thing.
I'm pretty sure last year Arizona State played 4 NCHC teams.
I know they played quite a few. They played you guys
They
at
played
least
us for
once.
1 year, Miami, Denver,
Yeah, and I think they played
Colorado
Colorado
College,
College. Yeah. So yeah, they played.
Arizona, or they played North Dakota in the Hall of Fame game last year.
Yep. Yeah, I think they really. I think they might have just been the northern teams or the northeastern teams, really, of that.
I think they played
subsection.
their pod, for lack of a better
Yeah,
term,
they're
is.
closest teams to them, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the only ones they didn't play were Western St. Cloud and Minnesota Duluth. So, why?
Yeah, Miami, Denver, CC. I'm just scrolling through quick. Uh, Omaha.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, back to the Huskies. Yeah, Ann Arbor, then Santa BC. We went through that. Nothing else. Roster. Yay.
Anybody? I mean, they have a Sean
Why is
still.
their website?
I don't know. Get it together. They have Grant Ashawn coming back. He was solid guy last year. Tyson Gross, I think, kind of came on near the end of the year. Had a couple of really good games. He could be due for a solid sophomore season.
Mason Salquist and Ethan O'Coin. They were two solid players, and Werner Mietinen,
Yeah,
coming back for his sophomore. He had a solid freshman year.
a really good freshman year. I mean, I think they
Yeah.
his brother graduated. No.
I believe he did.
Pretty sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and those. I mean, they played really well together.
They did. They were a fun team to watch.
I think they're going to be pretty young goaltender wise. Isaac
But
Posh came in for a
yeah, he
few
did.
games at the end of the year, which a lot of us kind of thought was interesting the way that Bassey had played before then.
But he did well when he played, especially that game that we were at. Um, he played solid at the end of the year.
I don't know why we needed to bring that one up. Rude.
Because we were there and we witnessed it.
Just rude.
You've been rude all night.
Yeah, he did earn a split against Western. I think he played in the playoff series between those two teams too, and
yeah, he did.
took 2 out of 3. So played well. Kind of seems like they're gonna lean with. I mean, he played 14 games last year, so he went 6-11-2, and there's room for improvement, but should be a solid guy for them to go to. I don't think they're gonna split time quite like they did. I mean, they didn't even really split time last year with Bassey and the other goaltenders like they did 2 years ago with Bassey and Castor. So I believe they have a solid number one in Posh. They did lose Dave Shayak, the assistant coach. He's now the coach up at Northern Michigan.
Yeah.
So they replaced him. Larson's been a solid coach for them. I mean, I guess we'll look at predictions like some point a little bit closer to the season, but it's going to be an interesting year, and I feel like it's going to be closer than it has been the last couple years. I don't know that we're going to have a 50-point conference champion.
Yeah, I think think the same thing. Like it's going to be very, very close, especially with how competitive Arizona State, I think, is going to be. I don't think they're going to be. They might be near the bottom, but I don't think they're going to be.
It's not going to be like Miami, where they're
Yeah, like
just they're out of it before the season even starts.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
I'm sure
I think even Miami is going to surprise some people this year with a new head coach, a new team. Um, I'm hearing positive things out of there, but someone's going to come in last for sure. And can Colorado College continue to grow like they had the last couple of years? But I mean, I guess before we get there, we should at least talk about the last team who refuses to put out a full goddamn roster. This piddly two-a-day nonsense on Twitter is grinding the shit out of my gears. It is dulling my skate blades.
I thought you guys were Western Michigan, not Northern Michigan. Do you actually have a team?
Berating my skate laces. It is so. I mean, we know most of the roster.
right. Could probably put one together.
Well, I can tell you the fifth years who are coming back because they were announced in like May. I can tell you all the freshmen that we got coming in. And, we know 4 out of the 6 transfers. Really, if we look at the Rink Live transfer portal list, we know all 6 of them.
And then I know you got Alex Bump.
And we know we got Alex Bump. Yep.
He's like the only name that I remember off the team.
Dude, honestly, he's like the only one of like the random middle players who could have decided to no longer want to play hockey that we know is coming back. Apparently it's a goddamn mystery. Even though teams have over a month to prepare for the team once they finally decide to put names and numbers together. But whatever. Let's look at their schedule first, I suppose. They will host the U.S. National Development Team this year as opposed to playing in Plymouth. And, I have the same argument for this game every year. I don't like it. I don't hate it. But I don't really like it.
I think we say it every time a team plays it at the start of the year. It's better at the start of the year than over the Christmas break or some random time. Because here, by this point in the season, the coaches have a pretty good idea of who their roster is going to be night in, night out. There might be a couple position battles that they want to see. And this is a good little measuring stick, good little test competition against real hockey players that aren't your teammates.
Also,
even if they are younger.
Also, I would say I like it at the beginning of the season because it's a ramp up. Like you're not going full out and you haven't been slamming into grown men for the last 2 months before playing this in December. You're sick of hitting your own teammates and you just want to hit somebody in a different uniform, but you're still not ready to go full tilt. And you're not trying to kill the kids on the other team because they are legitimately kids. Like it's the under 18
legitimately
team, they are under 18. And there are grown ass men on Division 1 hockey teams. Like some dudes are 24 years old. Which is why I hate this game from that perspective. But if you have to play it, I do like it better here than in the middle of the season when, like I said, you've been ramped up and now you're trying to hold back.
Trying not.
Yeah, you're not going out.
You're trying not to lose against
people.
this.
Yeah, I mean you don't want to lose it at the beginning of the year either, but
well, yeah, but
you're not playing like you're not in the mentality of like if I'm doing something, I'm going full go. Like if I hit you, I want to separate you from the puck. Where here it's, I'm gonna hit you, but I'm not gonna put you through the boards. I'll just put you into them.
You're
Yeah.
not going to forget where you are and try to railroad some 17-year-old.
I mean,
Like you-
maybe.
unless he does something
Depends
to
on what
really.
depends on what he says. You know?
But yeah, you're not gonna just like get into the game mode and all of a sudden go full tilt. You're just gonna feel that contact, get into the game, get into game mode. And like I said, it's a good measuring stick for coaches on some of the fringe guys, kind of like preseason football is.
Yeah.
Uh, and that helps decide some battles.
And it's an extra look for the coaches to get an extra look at who's in the development program who may or may not be committed to another team, and it gives them an extra scout but an up close kind of free look at them, seeing how they
Hmm.
play against the experienced players. So it's beneficial in that regard for a college team to host them, or to play against them, but not my favorite. I still think I would rather play like a Canadian team or to start the year than this one. But I do like it here as opposed to in the middle of the season. It makes no sense there. Then they play Ferris State home and home again. They've done that the last few years. They got one with Bowling Green on a Thursday just to mix it up. One game at BC, which I
Yeah,
wanted to go to, but
what are you guys doing though with that schedule?
I don't know.
Like just yeah, we're gonna fly out to Boston for a day and then come back,
Well, we needed one more game to fill out our schedule for some reason. BC needed one more game to fill out their schedule. So it just worked out that they could play each other.
They should do that in Nashville again.
I wanted to go to this game, but it's so expensive for one day that I'm not doing it. I might just save my money and save money on gas and drive to Nebraska the next weekend. It's about the same as it was to go to St. Cloud. Um, they start conference play against Omaha in Omaha. What? Oh. Big series against Michigan. I wish this wasn't over the Thanksgiving break, just because this is one of those non-conference rivals that gets everybody juiced. And there's still some mixed feelings amongst the program when it comes to Michigan, even
From
though they've moved
GLI.
on. From the GLI a couple years ago. Like a lot of people were hoping that Michigan was going to get past North Dakota last year, which they did, but unfortunately Western wasn't able to fulfill their end of the deal, getting past Michigan State. But a lot of people in that building were hoping that was going to be the matchup in that regional last year, because it's kind of on both sides. Like, Michigan's tired of Western people talking shit about them backing out of the game, which Michigan did nothing but hurt themselves, considering they had a roster that had like 8 draft picks in it playing Michigan Tech, and didn't want to run that roster back against Michigan the night after. So, but yeah, so I think this is the first time these two teams have played each other since then. They finished the first half of the season once again with Denver. They've done that the last few years too. The GLI, which we've kind of talked about briefly earlier, is December 29th and 30th. Western won it 2 years ago when they were in it last time up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's back there again. They play Anchorage. They do that too, man. But theirs isn't a tournament. So they play the tournament, and then the next weekend, that following weekend, they host Alaska Anchorage, who they traveled to They opened the season against Anchorage last year. So that's the return trip for them. 4 games against Miami in the second half of the season. They get the first trip to Arizona for the first conference meeting between those two teams. And that about, those are the big games. I mean, the big games are the GLI, the series with U of M, the one-off game against BC. Like, those are the standout games. I think everyone's kind of looking forward to those outside of conference play, because once again, while I I like this non-conference schedule better than what they had last year. The toughest games are going to be the conference games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, last year your non-conference, you didn't play Anchorage. That was 2 years ago. I was
Or
just
2 years
looking
ago,
at
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Ferris, Bowling Green, then St. Lawrence and Lindenwood. Even though Lindenwood was a lot tougher than you would have liked.
We had Lindenwood 4
Uh,
times last year.
and yeah, 4 times. That that was weird. But
Someone else is doing it. There's been like it's popped up. I went through and looked for that actually the last
let's see who Lindenwood
it's been done before that non-conference teams have played each other 4 times in a year. I think Omaha did it with Long Island one year.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
pretty sure they did.
so and then I think Denver and I want to say Alaska Fairbanks may have had a 4-game series one year. So it has happened in the past. It's not a complete one-off, and I think part of it was it's one of those things where like there are some teams that have trouble getting teams to play them because they're an inexperienced team or because travel's so hard. Like if you're an Alaska team, like it's hard to get teams to go out there. If you're building a program like a Lindenwood, uh, not everyone wants to go and play those teams because they think it somehow hurts their ability to make a tournament, or they don't want to put their guys through the travel, or for whatever nonsense that they come up with. So you end up in a situation where you may play a team 4 times in a season just because everybody else is dicking around trying to get an edge somewhere in the conference or in the standings somewhere, and they don't want to play that team. And then you got 2 teams who are left in the wind who have to play each other because they can't schedule anybody outside of it. So
Well, and I think that's I know we've talked about it too, where these these independent schools, it's tough to find games because everybody's scheduling non-conference, but then they have their conference schedule. So you have to try and pick and choose when you can play these games. Otherwise, you're screwed because everyone else is like, no, sorry, we don't have that weekend open
yeah,
because we're playing a conference game.
yep, yeah, that too. So some big names on the roster, I suppose, even though it's not listed on the goddamn website yet.
Oh,
Some
as you're looking for that.
Oh no, I don't need to look for it. I've got everybody written down that I know of, and I was just looking at the other one to see who we lost. But we did lose some guys in the transfer portal into pro contracts. Once again, it's a team that has to replace their top 3 scoring guys who all had close to 40 points, if not over 40 points. Granger went, and Colangelo all moving on and signing pro deals. Probably the biggest name returning is Alex Bump for a sophomore season. And if anybody listened to, I don't want to get the podcast wrong, but the one that Paul did yesterday, who was our guest last week, is it Coast to Coast? They had Coach Furschweiler on yesterday, and he called Alex's freshman year a snake-bitten 30-point season, which he was not really wrong about. I mean, he could have had, I think, 5 more goals last year. Honestly, he had a couple waved off or like overturned that, and then a couple more that I think went in off the stick of somebody else. But he put up a great freshman season.
I want to say, I gotta look up something really quick.
Yeah, he went 14-22 for 36 points, and easily could have gone 20-22 for 42 points. So it'll be fun having him back. It's one of those guys where, like, if all things considered, him and to see what him or Bump and McAllister could have done on a line together, even last year, would have been stupid, and to see them both with like an extra year would just be a ridiculous line to have, even with just those two guys. Like they the way they both move the puck is ridiculous. But oh, what could have been? What could have been? Cameron Rowe comes back for a third season. They do also get Team USA goaltender Grant Slakowski or Slakinski. My bad, mispronunciation on that one. It might be the deepest Western's been goaltender wise in a while. They've had the last few years. You know, I think I did the math on it. They've gone through like 15 goalies in the last like 5 years, and no real established 1-2 punch. You know, when Bussy was here, it was Bussy's net. When he got hurt, there was a large drop off. Cam came in, took over the net, and it's been his kind of really ever since. He played every game last year. There's a possibility that Grant could at least earn some starts and get starts. I think he's expected to potentially be on the World Juniors team. So he'll probably play in that over at least some during the winter break, but you know, you don't want to keep him cold going into that. So I hope he gets a chance to start games here and there. There's a lot of people expecting him to kind of jump Kirk for that backup spot. Interesting transfers as far as who the university has officially announced. They get Tristan Lemaire coming over from Denver, which I thought was a huge pickup. You know, a guy who 2 years into his college career has accomplished everything there is to accomplish in the NCHC.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could say that's a matter of just being in the right place at the right time. But those Denver, you learn something from a good team. Like his experience as a sophomore coming into a junior year, I don't think can be scoffed at. And he's gonna bring those experiences with him, and you know, he's won a Penrose, he's won a Frozen Face-Off, he's won an NCAA tournament in the Frozen Face-Off in the tournament in the NCAA tournament in the same building, you know, in the same season, and had a big goal in that semifinal to actually get Denver a chance to make it to the final because he tied the game at 1-1 in the semifinal game. So and Western's done a great job getting guys out of the portal and helping to continue their growth. So it'll be fun to see once we get the full roster how we can start playing shuffle the lines, what kind of combinations can be made and who can help who and who can, you know, be the teammate that gets the best out of the guys around him, and it makes it a real team effort. But a lot of excitement in this team. But again, I think the entire conference is going to be better than it was last year. So I don't know that, like I said earlier, I don't know that we're going to see a 50-point conference champion this year.
Or a 7-point last place.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, there's still that.
I think there's a higher likelihood that a team could get absolutely pummeled and not collect a few points. But
I was just looking a little bit here with Alex Bump, and I knew he was a Mr. Hockey finalist in Minnesota, which
I think he was. I think he was Mr. Hockey in Minnesota.
No, he was not. Max Strand, who is going to be a freshman at the University of Vermont this year, was. But the guys that I was looking up,
ooh, imagine those two dudes being on the same team, because that's where Bump was originally supposed to be, was Vermont.
Bump came out a year early from juniors, so he's one of the older players from everybody that I was looking at from the finalists. There's another kid, Del Greco, that's going to be at Augustana, who was from Grand Rapids. He was one of the finalists. But they're Bump's going into his sophomore year, where these guys are just going in their freshman year. So 30 points as a freshman coming out, you know, maybe 1 year early. He has room to grow, and
I mean,
sometimes Mr. Hockey works out, sometimes it doesn't.
He
you know,
easily could have
there's
had 40 points last year. He got robbed on a couple of goals. Like they waved off a
yeah,
few that should have been, or that could have, should have, would have been. Um, like there was like one or two that were overturned on close call offsides. I think there was one um, that another guy might have tipped in. I think there was one or two that were like the slightest of goaltender interference type plays that could have gone either way. Um, I think one even got waved off because we had possession of the puck and somebody ran, like punched somebody or something, and they called the penalty on us and waved off the play as he was getting ready to score. So yeah, he could have had a 40-point freshman season. I mean, he's definitely that caliber of player. And like I was saying when you were going through that, like him and McAllister would have been fun to watch, and we would have been in the second year of that. But McAllister was a one and done, treating us like we're Kentucky. But just rude.
now I gotta see. I gotta look something up here. If yeah, so Bump's team,
I think
they
does it.
lost in the semifinals. Strand's team didn't even make the tournament. Uh, they got fourth place
Oh yeah, it is.
because Bump went to Prior Lake.
Oof. Jesus. Yeah, dude, check out this run for Miami. Middle of the season, December 6th through the end of the season, right? North Omaha is before Thanksgiving. North Dakota, Denver, Omaha, Western, and then their final 6 games are Denver, Duluth, and Western again. Like, man, if Miami just
They have at least 2 wins in there though against UMD because for whatever reason we cannot
that
we
is
do not do well against them.
that is an absolute just grind of a schedule.
Yikes.
If
But
I mean
you think
maybe
about it,
I'm thinking
but if,
maybe they can steal one against Arizona State if they're the team that we have seen lately of Miami, and I hope to God that they're not. I hope that they are better, and this year lives up to the hype that we have kind of begun to put on it because of what we see in the teams. But maybe they steal one against Arizona State. I think like they did last year. If Colorado College continues to play the way that they've been playing, I think they could get swept by Colorado College. I think they'll get swept by Denver. Um, they could be swept once again by Western Michigan. I think they won one game against Western last year, and it's like the first win in like 12 games that they've had against them. They still haven't beaten them in the final weekend of the conference ever. There's like if there's a lot to stumble in that 2 month period for if you're Miami. Like if you don't get anything going, it can go downhill quick and just stay there.
but I mean you can say that about any team because think about how often we say that when we're looking at the conference schedules. It who teams are playing. It's like, geez, that's an absolute gauntlet of a schedule. Oh man, that's a really tough. And it doesn't matter who's playing who and how well you are. That's the way this conference is set up,
Yeah.
which is it's fun to watch. It's great hockey to watch, but then it also, which I'm still proud of our predictions last year, Wes, on how we did. We were well above 500.
Yeah, I mean, win or loser on the weekends, we were definitely well above 500. I don't think we did too great on the standings part of it, though.
Oh,
Teams,
that's
couple teams were surprised, couple teams were a disappointment, couple teams
that
were a
that's
surprising
the thing.
disappointment.
That's the thing though. You don't know what you got until you actually watch the product on the ice, and that's the fun part about college sports. You never know what you have until you actually see it because there's so much changing all the time. Um, but
All right,
yeah, I
Mr.
was
Counting
talking. I'm like,
Crows.
yeah, we're fine.
Brett heard it. I know he did. Mike's trying to figure it out. I'm gonna just let that simmer there.
No, I know what I'm more just like really.
You said it, not me. But yeah, I mean, I think we can wrap her up there. We went a good hour and 45 minutes after being a skosh late yet again, because that's just who we are and that's what we do. And
We're very punctual people.
It's really all Mike's fault.
I was the one who was early this time.
Yeah, then your shit went to hell, and you still ended up last to the party.
No, I was still on. I just had to let the dog upstairs.
Yeah, see, I mean, you might have been in the driveway first, but you didn't enter the party until like 10 people were here. You're still late.
I'm antisocial, okay?
But yeah, no, I think I don't know. Still working on some stuff. Hopefully to wrap up the end of the off season in a positive manner. I think maybe if Brent wants to come back the last show before the regular season, we'll kind of do what we've always done and maybe do our preseason standings picks or whatever we want to freaking call them.
It's only a month away.
Yeah, but
crazy.
But by then, Western and I don't think Arizona State's full roster is out yet either. So, to be fair, they do have all of their returning players, and Western has nothing. So they are at least that far ahead.
May or may not have a team.
Yeah. Oh no, we have a team. We just don't know who the fuck is on it.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
But I want to double check and make sure that they haven't since added their freshmen. Oh, why? Why, guys? Yeah, no, Arizona State has still not added their freshmen to their roster. Apparently, they're still trying to nail down who's going to redshirt and who's not, and who's going to go to class and who's not. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Well, by then we should have all the rosters, and maybe we'll be slightly smarter, but we can at least do our homework between now and then to really think where we think people are going to finish 1 through 9. And that'll be probably the last episode before the regular season starts.
Is there going to be a test on this homework?
There's always a test. And it's pass-fail. Good thing is we never know if we fail because no one leaves comments on the videos very often. And if they do, they've all been pretty positive. So that's cool. That's a hint that there's a comment section if people want to leave comments. Even if they're mean comments, I don't give a shit. When it's down there.
Any publicity is good publicity.
Make use of it.
There is a little bit of a line there.
I mean, nowadays.
Yeah. I'll even take that time to read the mean comments. I mean, why not? There's only going to be like maybe one. I need things to do while I'm supposed to be doing other things.
My mean comment is it just bothers me that I still have to look at Trevor looking over your shoulder. I sent him that picture and I'm like, this disturbs me.
My favorite Western goaltender. There's another goalie right here. Will Massey right there.
No, but it's just something about Trevor's face.
I think you'll have to take that up with Trevor. But yep, there's some other YouTube stuff. There's a like button, a share button, a subscribe button. You can push any one of those. There's even a dislike button that you can push if you really feel like you just want to be heard how much you dislike what we're doing. Or a comment section if you really want to put words to your negative emotions. Go for it. There's some Twitter handles. They've been there. They exist. There's even one for the page. It's on the scrolly thing. I'm not reading it this time. I don't want to. And there's an email. Yep. All those things exist. Until the next one, I think we're done. I'm tired of talking. Adios. Where's my button? Bye-bye.